Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Today is a Friday. TGIF, guys. Listen, got a big problem in the Chinese renminbi, or another name for it is the yuan, and the American dollar. The American dollar is getting awfully strong, and the Chinese are working to weaken the yuan, their own currency. It's coming to a point where nothing more, less than less, the simplest way to describe this is the United States most likely. Now, this doesn't mean they will, but there's they possibly will start selling U.S. dollars and buying yuan. They can do that. This is turning into this situation between the United States and China is escalating now. It's changing. It's metamorphosizing. It's moving into a currency war. From a trade war, it's moving into a currency war. That's the direction it's moving toward. And the Chinese started it. They devalued the yuan, and the United States labeled them a currency manipulator for doing so. Now, it's very likely that the next move, because this thing's not going away. This trade war is not going away. In fact, it's heating up. It's getting worse. It's intensifying. The United States is the biggest economy on earth. They're the most powerful central bank. China is playing with a force that's actually more powerful than they are. Their economy's not as powerful, and their economy is already, this trade war has already knocked them down a peg big time, and they know it. Industry is moving out of China. Thousands of companies are moving out of China and moving into other places in Southeast Asia to do their business. The damage has already been done. Chinese are absolutely furious. And the next move in this is they're depreciating their currency. The United States can lower the dollar and buy renminbi. This can actually happen. Let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. The gold price. Gold price is shooting up today. It's heading up. 1504.50, and it's shooting up. It might break through these previous highs. Previous high is just a few dollars ahead of where it's going, but she's shooting straight up to the moon today. It's probably got to do. Listen, the Fed, at their latest meeting, and now they're meeting at Jackson Hole, they're starting to become less dovish. They're starting to become more hawkish. They're pulling in liquidity. I mean, they're talking about they're not going to do any more cuts, that this probably was a one and done, and so on. The markets today could be very disappointed. I haven't opened the markets yet. I haven't looked. Yesterday, I think that they were stunned and confused, disoriented. But today, the markets all of a sudden might not be disoriented anymore. They might realize that gee, things are not good. Things are not good out there at all. So I'm expecting the markets to cool off today or fall. Let's take a look now at cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies today are a $266 billion market cap, with a Bitcoin dominance of 68.5%. I'm at a point with this screen right here where I kind of need glasses, and then again, I kind of don't. I should go out and get myself a couple new pairs today. I sat on or crunched my glasses. What can I say? They're a good thing. They're only cheap glasses anyway. So we're looking at Bitcoin at $10,211, Ethereum at $191, XRP at 27 cents, Litecoin $73.50, Bitcoin Cash $3.10, and that's your cryptocurrencies. They're kind of holding their own right now. They're not going down or up. They've been kind of going sideways for a little bit with a slight downward trajectory. We're going to have to wait and see how much longer that lasts. Let's take a look at the Dow today. And yeah, I figured she'd be off. I figured it would. I figured the Dow would come to a realization of what's going on today. And we're down initially 109 points. I think today could be a bad day for the Dow. By the end of the day, I think we could see like quite a substantial drop in the Dow today, the Dow Jones. Let's take a look now at oil. It's down $1.54 on the day, 2.78%. That's a fairly large drop. Let's take a look at the last 5 days. We can see, yeah, this is the largest little drop we've had in the last little while today on oil. This is a fairly substantial drop, down $1.54 per barrel on Sweet Lake crude. That's a substantial drop. Let's take a look now at U.S. Treasuries and see what they're doing. Yields are falling today. Well, that doesn't surprise me a bit. You know, I'm going to tell you, the credit markets. Now, I've said that this crisis that's coming is going to be centered in Europe, but it's also going to be a crisis in the credit markets. And basically, the credit markets work something similar to your credit card. Now pretend that you had a credit card, or multiple credit cards, and you went out and spent them to the limit. Yeah, you'd have a good time. Maybe you'd go out and, I don't know, take a trip someplace or whatever. While you're spending, you're having a good time. But then there comes a time if you keep doing that, you get to the point where you can only pay the interest on the outstanding balance. So you don't have the money enough to pay off the credit cards. Say you had 10 credit cards and you just took them all to the limit, and then you've only earning enough money right now to pay off the minimum each month on each card. So you're balancing the cards that way. You know what the eventuality of that would be. Well, that's what's happened in the credit markets. For 30 or 40 years now, they've been having a good time living on credit, and they've expanded that debt out, and that's become our monetary base, underlying everything. They've just basically, it's like they've splurged for 30, 40 years now in the credit markets, and they've created all these paper derivatives products and everything else. They've just expanded it to the limit. Well, now they've got to the point, using layman's terms, where all the world is able to do on this enormous debt that they've created is pay the minimum payment. That's basically where we're at. We're making the minimum payments, barely. Now, if we get an economic downturn, we're not going to be able to make the minimum payments anymore. Basically, I'm just using this as an illustration of what's happening within the financial system. Basically, then, at that point in time, the creditors come to your door. If you had a credit card and you couldn't pay the minimum balance and you go without paying it for a while because you just can't pay the minimum balance, the creditors will come knocking on your door or call you on the phone, why aren't you paying? And that's the way with the big credit. It's the same way. They get to the point where they can't pay the minimum balance anymore. Nobody can take out any more loans or anything else, and the whole thing starts to shut down and clamp up. And the only way to get it really going again is they have to inject money into the system. And that's what they will do. But that has its own evils. The evils that creates is the fact that people lose confidence in the monetary supply if they overcreate an overabundance of fiat currencies in order to pay off the creditors, So we're moving into a system that the whole thing is just like, right from its basis, it was constructed wrong. Not just the euro. The euro's completely constructed wrong. But all the fiat currencies are based on basically a Ponzi scheme, and they can only expand out so far before they contract, and they can't contract. They've got it to a point now where they can't let them contract. So what are we to do? Well, we're going to have to suffer through an enormous crisis. A credit crisis in the credit markets. And this crisis is going to be hitting the worst in Europe. It's going to hit Europe the hardest. Let's take a look now at the U.S. dollar index. 98.29. Yeah, it's sliding a little bit down this afternoon, but it's very high. That's extremely high. The dollar is riding very strong in the world right now. Of the fiat currencies, it's riding the strongest. But this doesn't surprise me any, because this is the way when the Roman Empire, the decline of the Roman Empire, was functioning similar to this. What it does is, around the peripheries, the outer parts of the empire suffer first before it makes its way into the core part of the empire. And that's what it's like. The United States is like the empire on Earth. They are the big kahuna, you know? And so it's the peripheries of the empire that start to decay, and it leads into the core. The corruption leads into the core. And so the United States is still has the most strength in the entire world economy right now. They're carrying the entire world economy. We're right on the edge of something momentous. Right now, we're right on the edge of a momentous financial events that are going to come to pass in the next few years. And it's already actually begun, but it's going unnoticed by an awful lot of people in the world. Most of the world's population are not noticing it yet. When it becomes noticeable, then it's going to be very hard to get into these certain asset classes like gold, silver, you know. And yes, perhaps cryptocurrencies, but look at what's going on here. First off, I'll just show you Deutsche Bank today. We'll just take a quick look. Deutsche Bank's falling today. I don't know about Deutsche Bank. I don't know. They could just fall off a cliff anytime, you know, and there we would have our crisis. But what I want to show you here is the United States, which is the biggest, most powerful force on the earth as far as the financial system is concerned, they're now turning against cryptocurrencies. They're going to want. I think they're on the verge of getting ready to launch a war against cryptocurrency, and they're linking it, cryptocurrency, with things like the opioid epidemic, and they're linking it with corruption, and they're linking it with all kinds of different things, and this is a forerunner of what's to come. You know, a few months ago, Donald Trump got up there and he said cryptocurrency, how he didn't like Bitcoin, didn't like the cryptocurrencies. Now this is moving further, you know, and they're starting to really. I can see a crackdown coming. I can start to see a crackdown coming in cryptocurrency. This is troubling because you know, it's actually the dollar in its cash form that's been used for all of these things more than cryptocurrency ever. You know, most of the people that are holding cryptocurrencies are law-abiding citizens. You know, but that doesn't matter. I mean, they got it in focus now. You know, and so I can see this coming. So be warned about this. Keep this in the back of your mind and in consideration. That I can't see them actually getting rid of Bitcoin completely, but they could make things a lot harder if they want to crack down on it. You know what I mean? Mosquito. Listen, thank you guys for listening to this show. Like and subscribe, and give me a thumbs up. And I really appreciate my audience out there. And we'll catch you guys very soon again. We'll probably do a report this weekend, you know. And I'm not exactly sure what the report will be on, but probably on Sunday. Bye-bye, guys.